Okay, so today we will be learning about how to find extrema on an interval. Okay, and we'll start with this one right here. We'll say h of x equals cosine of 2x minus 2 sine of x, and it's on the closed interval pi halves. Pi, 227. Pi halves to 2 pi. Okay, so it's on this closed interval. Okay, so the first thing we got to do start by finding the critical numbers of h in the open interval. Okay, so what we're going to do is also include pi halves and 2 pi in this. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is we actually have to do the derivative of this. So h of x equals negative sine of 2x times 2. This is just the chain rule on that first part. Okay, minus 2 cosine of x. Okay, so we had to use the chain rule in that first part. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to simplify it the best we can by setting it equal 0. So 0 equals negative 2 sine of 2x minus 2 cosine of x. Okay, so we set it up this way. Now, first off, we're going to transform that by using our identities. So 0 equals negative 2 parentheses. Well, shoot, we could actually divide both sides by negative 2 so that we're just left with sine of 2x plus cosine of x. Okay, and then we can transform it by using our rules of definitions of double angles. So that would be 2 sine of x cosine of x plus cosine of x. Okay, now if I factor out a cosine of x, I get 0 equals cosine of x parentheses 2 sine of x plus 1. Okay, so now that I have that all figured out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve it. So cosine of x equals 0. And so what x equals is probably going to be pi halves well, no, that should be, no, not pi halves, that should be, well, we don't include pi halves mainly because it's not in the range and everything. So we're just going to include 3 pi halves. It technically is both, but you know, we're only including this interval. Okay, and then sine of x is going to be equal to negative 1/2 is going to be the setup the other. So x is going to equal 7 pi 6, comma 11 pi 6. Okay, so that's going to be our points. This is going to be our critical numbers right here. Okay, then our actual things that we're going to do is we're going to plug in these values into the original equation, which was h of x equals cosine of 2x minus 2 sine of x. Okay, we're going to actually take that and plug it in. Oh, let me move this up a little bit. Compute the function values, the heights at each critical number. So in other words, we would just plug in our values as we go. So in other words, we would plug into h, we would plug in 7 pi 6, and we would get 1.5. We would plug into h, we would plug in 3 pi halves, and we would get 1, and we would plug into h, we would plug in 11 pi 6, and we would get 1.5. Okay, so that probably is going to tell us that our absolute maxes are going to be these two numbers here, or when it's 7 pi 6 and 11 pi 6, just by looking at that. So ab on this interval. Okay, so those are going to be our absolute maxes. And then what you're going to do is you are going to determine the function values at the endpoints of the interval. Okay, so this point we're going to actually calculate the other parts. So h at pi halves is going to be -3, and h at 2 pi is going to be equal to 1. Okay, all right, and so what this means is that this is going to be an absolute minimum on this interval. Okay. All right, and if we actually take a look at it, okay, if we take a look at the graph, click out of this. Okay, so we graph, what was the function again? Yep, cosine of, whoops, cosine of 2x minus 2 sine of x. Okay, now if you notice that's a straight line, I just need to convert to radians. There we go. Alright, and I'm only going to be on the interval from, let me see, what was it, pi halves is less than x, oops, less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2 pi. Okay, well, we'll just look at it here. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert the y-axis to pi. Oops, not the y-axis, to the x-axis. Okay, so we'll only go from here to these points. Okay, and pretty much it's going to stop right here. So as you can see, these are absolute maxes on that interval. This is an absolute minimum on that interval. So that's some really cool stuff right here. And then later on we'll learn about these type of points and these type of points. Okay. All right, thank you very much and have a great day. Bye.